will come to this happy place, welcome.
What is it about Disney that makes us happy? Is it the magical whistle as your ticket is scanned at the main gate? Is it the seafaring smell of pirate water? Or is it charting a course to a land where you may never grow up? Whether it's singing a familiar song, watching a movie, or riding your favorite attraction for the 100th time, Disney undeniably has a way to warm our hearts, believe in magic, and bring joy into our lives. This is Main Gate Magic, a podcast where we break down and discuss the infectious happiness, delight, and thrill of all things Disney. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is the 23rd of July, and this is episode 15, another fun-filled episode of Main Gate Magic. I'm your host, as always, here, Jason Braden, and with me is my friend Mimi. Hello, Mimi.
Hello, hello.
Yay, we're all caught up. No storms today, right?
Yeah, no storms today. Thank goodness.
Okay.
We did have another one earlier this week, but not today.
Not today. Not today, storms. If you guys are wondering what the hell we're talking about, last week there was apparently a big thunderstorm where you lived, right? And that caused a blackout, and we had some technical difficulties with your feed, I'll say. The bandwidth was kind of cut short a bit.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. It was just, just inconvenient. It wasn't awful. We still did okay.
It was pretty awful.
Okay. But the rest of the show was fun. I mean, we had Mr. John Morris, the voice of Andy from all the Toy Story movies, Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, that is. He was a really amazing guest, had lots of fun stories with him doing his recordings when he was a child, growing up all the way through Andy's college years. I remember him talking about being in the booth with John Lasseter when he first recorded, which I was like, my jaw probably dropped to the ground when I heard about that.
He even treated us to some of his voice acting.
He did, and that was so special because I was saying that I got all choked up. Not a joke. I was seriously like, if he would have gone any more or any longer than he actually did, I probably would have cried.
Oh no, definitely. I was watery.
I know you were doing the whole hand thing, But anyway, if you guys want to see more about John Morris or learn more about him, he's on Instagram. You can get him at John Charles Morris on Instagram. I went back and re-looked at it because it's not just John Morris, John Charles Morris. You'll find him on there. Pretty indistinguishable and super fun guy. Check him out and also take a look at last week's episode. It's on YouTube and Facebook, and you can also download the audio programs as well. We have a couple of viewers returning to the stage here. We've got Patricia is back. Hi, Patricia. Glad to see you. And Kim. How you doing, Kim? It's good to see you, too. We've got our usual fans joining us for our show today, and we've got some fun planned because we've got some retro Disney to share today.
We're going old-fashioned today.
We are going old-fashioned. We're calling this the Yester-ears, and I loved the play on words because it's going to be a talk about attractions that are just no longer at the Disney parks anymore. But just because they're gone does not mean that they are forgotten, because whether I was able to ride them or not, I knew about them, and I either wanted to go on them or I did go on them before, and I just miss them because they were just such fun things to do. But Disney, for whatever reason, which we will also discuss, had reasons for closing them. So we'll go over that.
I will happily discuss all of them.
Yes, I have quite a few on my list here, and I know we have not discussed this ahead of time, so please.
I imagine plenty of yours are also mine.
Probably. But I'm
Although
a little older
you
than
had
you.
more experience
Yes,
than I did.
I know.
There are things that I never, ever got to see.
I was super surprised when I went back and I actually looked at all the different attractions that were around when I was still kind of growing up and trying to think, did I ever actually go on this? Because I have like partial memories of it, but not vivid memories. So going back through a lot of this stuff, I was like, okay, yeah, I went on that. Or I went on that too. And I just, oh my God, I really wish they would bring this back. So Anyway, I digress. I'm going to be digressing probably through the whole episode because that's basically all it's about is just
Yep.
reminiscing and going back over some fond memories. But before we do that, I have a little bit of Disney news to discuss, so...
It's time for Main Gate Magic News.
It's time for the news, everybody. Okay, we've got a few things to cover that I haven't really discussed in a while. I think we lightly touched on this with John's episode last week, but the Haunted Mansion has an opening date of August 23rd. I'm pretty sure we covered that last week. The changes that they've been making ever since the beginning of the year, and I mean the beginning. I want to say it's been closed since like January or February or something like that. Immediately after the holidays, they shut it down. And so it's got a brand new queue. They've revamped everything on the outside. I don't think a lot's changed on the inside, but they've also got a new souvenir shop that's going to be at the exit of the ride as well. And if, in case you missed the information, when it reopens on August 23rd, it is going to have the Nightmare Before Christmas layover happening. So you'll be able to experience Jack Skellington and his crew taking over the mansion.
I'm going to correct you and say overlay. You said
Overlay.
layover.
I said layover. I'm not
Layover
like
for
Jack
flights.
is flying somewhere. Yeah, I know.
Well, he is flying. There may
I
be
told
a
you I'm
layover
having
for
an off
Jack.
day. Earlier I said I'm having an off. See, and this just kind of proves my point right there.
There you
I'm
go.
saying things incorrectly. Okay, well, and then when it does open and the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay is in, thank you for correcting me earlier, because honestly I would have gone back and go like, you idiot. They are going to have it open by virtual queue only. So get to the park early and get your cell phones open and start reserving your time to ride the ride later in the day, because I think they usually have one at the very beginning of the opening of the park, and then they usually also do another opening in the afternoon where they give you another chance to go on it later in the evening. So just be prepared. It's going to be probably very crazy. I'm looking forward to seeing it myself, but I'm probably, unfortunately, going to be seeing videos of it before actually seeing it in person.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm going, obviously, for D23, and that's like just before, a few weeks before they're going to open it.
Yep. And
It's a
speaking
shame.
of D23, that is going to be one of our episodes coming up next month, I think.
Yes.
We will do that next month after you return so we can discuss all the things that you saw and all the news that happened from it. I'm really hoping for some big news. We know
Yeah,
about
me
certain
too, 'cause
movies and things that are
last
coming.
time
but-
it was not quite, there was not as much news as we were expecting. But it
Yeah.
was just after the tail end. It was at the tail end of the pandemic. Everything was just coming back, really. So hopefully we'll get some big stuff in this time, and we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yep, hopefully they got one of them big cannons loaded with a lot of information that they're just going to go, here you go, everybody.
I'm going to meet Bluey, y'all. Bluey's meeting at D23, and I'm stoked about it.
I have never seen an episode of Bluey.
Oh, it's wonderful. Wonderful children's entertainment. Absolutely.
I've heard. And I've heard it's really, Andrew actually is the one that kind of told me about it, but he says there's a lot of real world situations that Bluey gets put in with him and his family and everything, and it's not this like
Bluey's a
wacky,
girl.
crazy cartoon. Oh, it's
This
a
is the
girl?
rule. Anytime there's a blue dog in children's media, it's a girl. They
It's a
trick
girl.
you.
Yeah,
'Cause I
Blue's
thought
Clues
Blue
right
from
there,
Blue's
right?
Clues was, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but no, definitely recommend. And even as a person without kids, I mean, I cry throughout many Bluey episodes.
Well,
Many.
you're only giving me a reason not to want to watch it.
No, do it. It's so good.
Kim says we will be going to Disneyland on the 24th, then go to the D23 night Angels ball game. Wow, that's
Oh, nice.
a heck of a game. I saw a video recently. I know this is skewing off topic here from Disneyland, and we'll get back to that in a second. But I saw a Star Wars night at the Angels Stadium where they did this huge display of drones. Now, I've seen videos of the stuff that they do at the Magic Kingdom with the drones, and that's impressive. But the one at the Angel Stadium, I swear they used probably 10 times more the amount of drones, because there was drones everywhere. Either that or each drone had maybe multiple lights on it or something like that to make more of a display, and it was impressive. I just
think
can't believe
drones
the
are going to
technology.
be a part of the future when it comes
Yes.
to. I would guess. I'm not going to say drones are going to replace fireworks shows, but I could guess that drones would be a stand-in for fireworks shows in off season.
Yes.
And depending on how they do it, I mean, the technology is amazing.
Well, and how many times have you been to Disneyland and you've heard the announcement, sorry, folks, due to high winds, the
Yep.
fireworks show will be canceled this evening.
Mhm.
So it happens. But you know what? Drones are smart and they can accommodate for that kind of thing. So, like you said, perfect
True.
stand-in in case the fireworks don't happen. They can have sort of a backup going.
Yeah.
Patricia says drone Death Star. Yeah, there was a Death
Dude.
Star. There was Death Stars. There was X-wing and TIE fighter fights. I think the Death Star even blew up, and I think they combined fireworks with the drones when the Death Star blew up to make it just that much more effective.
That is
It was
so
a lot of
cool.
fun. Yeah. All right, moving along with the news because we got a lot of stuff on the agenda tonight.
Yes, we do.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure still waiting for the opening date. We still don't know. I keep looking and I don't know.
$5 says
why.
they announced the opening date at D23. We're that close. I would be willing to put money on it.
You think they're gonna hold that long?
I mean, it's less than a month away. It's what, 2 weeks away?
Not
2
2. What
weeks
date is
away
the?
to announce it.
What date? When is D23? What date?
D23 is wait, I keep screwing this up. The 9th through the 11th.
Oh yeah, you're right. So it's 2
I'm
weeks from
guessing
Friday.
they're gonna announce that, or they're gonna go crazy and they're gonna open it that weekend. I don't think they'll do that.
I don't know about that.
I don't think they'll do that, but they could.
I haven't even seen
they've done
walls come
crazier
down yet.
things. Yeah, no,
Walls are
that's
still
true.
up as far as I know, and it's
I
still
think they'll
blocking
announce
off
at
everything.
D23 though. The fact that
Yeah.
they've waited this long and we're this close, I think they want something else to announce, so they're going to do that.
Yeah, Kim confirmed August 9th
Yes,
through 11th.
9th
so yeah.
through 11th.
Mhm.
Very excited to be there. I will be
Yep.
there on the 9th and the 11th. If any of you are going to be there, I will be out and about. And then I will be at Disneyland and or California Adventure on the 10th.
Awesome. I expect reports. I expect pictures. I expect everything. And you are
There
running
will
the
be
show for that
everything.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. All right.
All right.
Let's
Speaking of
pummel
which,
through the news.
yeah, we're still going with the news here. Critter Country. We were just talking about the walls. They're not up. They're not down yet, but everything is pulled back to right before the path that takes you over to Galaxy's Edge. So everything is closed. And I wondered why they were closing off everything, even including the Hungry Bear. And I just saw an article recently that they are retheming the Hungry Bear restaurant. So the Hungry Bear restaurant is now going to be changed to the Hungry Bear Jamboree Barbecue. They are bringing barbecue food to the Hungry Bear now.
Yes.
I'm happy about that. Because I was thinking about, Disneyland's got some, like, they got the Bengal barbecue in, Adventureland, but they don't have any really other good barbecue places unless you go to, like, a sit-down style restaurant. There's no place to just really, other than the Bengal barbecue, to get, like, real Southern country barbecue.
Well, unless you want to, the last I checked, book
Booka?
Lily Bell. Is it Lily Bell? Is it
The terrace?
Yes.
Yes. I think that's the
they've got barbecue.
Yes.
A little bit.
But like I said, you have to reserve a restaurant. You can't just like walk up and be like, "Hey, I want a slab of ribs."
Ever since they closed the hoedown, oh God, I'm off today too. I can't
You're
talk.
talking about the
Big Thunder Ranch barbecue. Thank you,
yes.
Tim.
And they had some amazing barbecue.
Yeah, and once that closed, because I was working at Disneyland right after it closed, people would come up and be like, "Where can we get barbecue now?" And we're like, "Well, they have it over at the Lily Bell Terrace."
Yep.
And it's
Kim is
like,
saying,
no, it's not the same.
Kim is saying we are
River
hoping
Bell,
it'll be like
Why
Big
did I
Thunder.
keep saying
Yes,
Lily Bell?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why I kept saying Lily Bell.
It's the train.
It's the train. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the caboose.
There we go.
Yeah,
I've been in it. Yeah. I've been in it.
River Bell. Yeah, there it is. River Bell. That's what Kevin was saying. He's probably going like, "Oh my God, you guys suck. It's River Bell." Get it right. All
Veronica,
right, so
you are right on plot.
okay. Here, let's put a comment up. Oh wait, us too. I'm putting the wrong ones up there. Breaks my heart to watch some of the rides go. My uncle Carl Metz worked on the rides. Yeah.
You are right on plot for our discussion
theme.
today.
Definitely. All right, couple more things. So, like I said, it's going to be themed, to actually the Hungry Bear Jamboree Barbecue is going to be themed towards the Country Bear Jamboree. And from what I understand, they are going to be playing songs from the Country Bear Jamboree, but very likely the ones that are from the new Country Bear Jamboree, which is playing at the Magic Kingdom currently, which just reopened recently.
Kevin just said the same thing.
Yes, for the restaurant, Country Bear music will be playing too. Yep, confirmed. All right, and for that one, the opening day is TBD as well. But I'm guessing it doesn't need a whole heck of a lot of retheming. Maybe some new
Since
signage
it's
and then
already
just
kind of Country
pump
Bear
some stuff
themed.
into the pretty much. All right, bad piece of news to talk about. Unfortunately, there is a potential strike on the horizon.
Oh yes.
For Disneyland cast members. I saw something that said that there are potentially 9,000 employees that are union-based that are actually talking about increasing, getting fair wages. And I know this kind of stuff happens with a lot of companies nowadays, but they don't think it's going to happen. The most recent news that I saw said that they are actually coming to terms and might come to a settlement very soon. But if they do go on strike, Disney says the parks will remain open. Now, I don't know how they're going to do that with that many people on strike.
The last time that this happened that I can remember was in, I believe, 2017, 2018, when there was a lot of talk about that. And at that time, cast members went in. There was a lot of voting with union stuff. And we did end up everybody got a raise to $15 an hour at the time. Mm-hmm. So it's likely that it will be handled amongst
situated. Yeah. They'll come to some kind of an agreement. Couple
but
more pieces
good
here.
On cast members for getting stuff, hopefully.
Yeah. The Disney Cruise Line, they got some news on that. The Disney Destiny is going to be coming later this year. They have the official first cruise happening in December of this year. But I actually got an email on this today, actually, which is the reason why I included it with the news feed. On Disney Parks blog, starting on July 30th, they are going to have a 3-day reveal event. I'm guessing to kind of talk about all the different things on the ship and the theme that they brought in, which, in case you guys haven't heard, it's heroes and villains. The entire theme of the ship is heroes and villains. So that is the theme of the ship, and it's talking about the struggle of heroes and the rise of the villains and all sorts of themed stuff towards things like Hercules and, of course, The Little Mermaid. I mean, you pretty much pick a Disney movie, there's going to be a hero, there's going to be a villain.
Yeah, except for Encanto.
Well, no, there's bad people. There's bad people.
There's no villains in Encanto.
No, not specifically.
Not properly.
All right, and then I had to include this because I already bought my ticket for it. Deadpool and Wolverine comes out on Friday, and I am super psyched to see it. And I've also, Lisa and I have, and by the way, I apologize, I should have mentioned this earlier. Lisa's not able to join us tonight because she had a work conflict, so she was not able to join us this evening. So anyway, let's see.
Kevin.
Good as Kevin saying, childhood trauma is the villain. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Why don't I have a power?
Jason, I don't know if this is what you were going to say, but I saw that Deadpool is going to be meeting in California Adventure.
I did not know that.
Is
he going to be like a new Marvel character?
Yes, I just saw it recently. Let me pull this up while
you're pulling it up. I do know that Deadpool and Wolverine are actually going to be on the next episode of the game show hosted by Elizabeth Banks, Press Your Luck. So if you guys are fans of that show and you like the little whammy animations, apparently Deadpool and Wolverine are going to be kind of taking over the animations with the whammies on the next episode. And I think that airs sometime this week.
Okay, yes, they have confirmed.
Well, we don't need
okay.
Kevin's already confirmed it.
Yes, he's going to be at Avengers Campus in California and Paris. Although, from what I'm reading, in Paris, it will be a meet and greet type thing. At Disneyland, it will be more of an entertainment appearance. Probably because of sensitivity differences between French audiences and American
Probably.
audiences, because it would be really hard to have Deadpool to be Deadpool and do improv in meeting guests. I would
think
guess.
so too. Yeah, he's kind of a dirty birdie.
Yeah, just a bit. This is our first R-rated character in the parks, to my knowledge.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Everything else before him is PG-13. I
Yep.
can't think of any R-rated stuff. You guys, if anybody's listening and you want to chime in and you think there was another R-rated movie that a character from that movie has been in the parks, please let us know, because I can't think of any. All right.
We're not counting the alien from Alien Encounter.
No.
Who was not... Well, no, wait a minute. I take it all back, because we had a... Well, no, that wasn't a meet and greet character. But we did have that section from Aliens in the Great Movie Ride.
Oh, you're correct.
That was something else entirely.
But we're not talking... we're talking about, like, walk-around characters.
Yeah. A little bit different.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll stop interrupting so we can get to the actual topic of our
see, Kevin actually said xenomorph in the Great Movie Ride. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. He's on board. All right, let's get down to the meat of it. Let's talk about the Yester-ears. We are talking about the attractions that have been at Disney parks that are either no longer there or, that are just no longer there, and that we remember, that we love, that we probably wish came back at some point. I have a few of them on my list with some fun facts to discuss on each. And if you guys got any extra facts you want to put in the chat, please feel free to do so. And I have to start off with my favorite, the People Mover.
Yes!
This has been such a controversy of mine ever since they closed it. But let's go over some fun facts first, and then we can kind of talk about our experiences on it. But it opened in July 2nd of 1967, so it did not open with the park on the first day. The ride time total was 16 minutes at the time. You believe that? Probably one of the longest rides they ever had there, next to Pirates of the Caribbean, which I know didn't come out until later. And it only went a maximum speed of 7 miles per hour. That's it. Just a nice little tool around the park, a little tool around Tomorrowland. And you want to know something crazy? Everything that I've listed here, everything that I've listed that is now gone, is mostly from Tomorrowland. And the list that I looked of all the attractions that are now gone out of Disneyland are mostly from Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland has absolutely changed the most.
Totally.
Fun fact,
yes.
When I was working in Star Trader, I was informed, I did not get to visualize because I was not in stock, but I was told that the parts of the People Mover track that were indoors up there from back when it used to go past in the area there are now
the area you're talking about, where Star Tours is, or where the Innoventions
area
is?
Where the Star Trader attraction is.
Okay.
So like, or not attraction, store, I'm sorry, at the exit of Star Tours,
Mm-hmm.
where the People Mover track used to pass.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they use that for storage.
Oh, that totally makes sense. They got to put stuff somewhere. I know. So anyway, in case there's anybody listening to the show that has never heard of the People Mover or doesn't even know what the heck it is, if you go to Disneyland or you see any videos of the track that is above ground across the entire part of Tomorrowland, that is the original track for the People Mover, and it took you through buildings and over, the different territories of Tomorrowland. It took you over Autopia, over near the submarine lagoon and everything, and around the what was it? Originally, it was the Journey Through Inner Space, which I am going to be talking about again in just a moment here. And then it took you right back to this little circular station, and the trains, they never stopped. They just kept moving. And I think they maybe stopped just to kind of space each other out. But the trains never stopped for you to even get on, because even the walkway was moving, similar to how the Omnimover works in the Haunted Mansion. And I always thought that was really cool. But it did close on, I think, what did I put here? August 21st, 1995, and was replaced by another controversial ride, the Rocket Rods. Now, this one was a bittersweet ride. I liked it. I had a lot of fun on it. When it first came out, it was exciting. But the only problem is that when you got to the park, it was kind of a coin toss if you were going to be able to ride it or not, because it was always broken down. It was always broken down. Whether it was being refurbed or something mechanical went wrong, it was having problems all the time. And they used the exact same track as the People Mover, but instead of going 7 miles per hour, and there's a reason why I mentioned that earlier, the Rocket Rods went 35 miles an hour.
Except for around those curves.
Except for around the curves. But the top speed was 35 miles an hour. And yes, it hit hard brakes every time it came around curves. And you just kind of slowed down and wait till you get another straightaway, then it would launch again. And it also did this thing where the nose kind of popped up to make you feel like
you
you're
did a little wheelie.
Going a little faster. Yeah, and I think even in certain parts of the buildings you went through, they also blasted air at you. And I think it was another trick to kind of simulate faster speeds.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really work for me that much, but it was still a fun ride. It was exciting, but it became more of a thrill ride than something you just went on to get off your feet for 16 minutes.
Yeah.
So, Veronica says, there was a submarine that they used to have. I love that ride. It was the only ride I cared about. They still do have the submarine. It's just not called the Submarine Voyage. It's the Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage now. They've done another overlay, or they rethemed it, I should say.
It's cute, but I absolutely miss the original version. Obviously, they closed that one down, I think, in 98, maybe, or maybe, I want to say it was 98. I may be wrong, but I remember it distinctly, and I remember being totally enamored with that ride as a child.
Oh, yeah. I mean, where else do you get a chance to actually ride a submarine in California?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
You don't even have to go out into the ocean. So let's see. Kevin says that the ride was fun, but when it was, and he's talking about the Rocket Rods, I believe still.
Yes.
When it was running, the line was usually pretty long because loading time wasn't great. Yeah, I know, because it was not as fast. Said it before,
I used to hang out in the extended queue when I was working in the little green men's store.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's where the extended queue was for the Rocket Rods?
Mm-hmm. And it's still themed to the Rocket Rods. It just gets storage now. I told you that last time, or the episode I did, that was me talking about cast member thing.
Yes, yes. That was your episode. Yeah, exactly.
We've got a...
Oh, we got a new person joining. Oh, fun facts time? Yes, Josh. I debated on whether or not I should bring him into this or not, because I have a ton of stuff, and we are almost like 30 minutes in already. We're halfway through the show, and I barely even touched on the first attraction. But anyway, kind of going back to what I was saying about the you're talking about the extended queue where you used to hang out and everything. That is another bygone attraction. It used to be the Circle Vision
Circle-rama,
Theater. Circle-rama, Circle Vision. I can't remember which one it was called.
Circle Vision, I believe it was called Circle-rama.
Oh, okay. But that was kind of a fun place to hang out, too, because you just sat in these little cushioned benches everywhere, and you just looked up and you watched the show, and it was just continuously running. There was no line. There was no wait time or anything. Yeah.
Before my time.
But I remember it well.
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
I believe most of the attractions in Tomorrowland that were around before that big refurb in 95, I was technically on, but too young to properly remember. But we have video of me on the People Mover. Gosh darn it.
All right, so finishing up the People Mover, the cars would slightly raise up. No, not the People Mover, but the Rocket Rods. We're still on the Rocket Rods. Mm-hmm. The reason that it closed most of the time was because apparently they had a lot of technical issues with the constant speed up and slow down, speed up and slow down. There was just too many technical issues, and eventually it closed for final refurbishment on September 25th, 2000, but then permanently closed on April 27th, 2001, and nothing has been back since. And we've had a couple other minor discussions on some episodes we've done before where they might be bringing back the People Mover. There's talks, whispers, rumors, whatever you want to call it.
Always
rumors. But what I have heard is a condensed version. Like, they're not going to make it the full track. They're going to bring it in a little bit and maybe not make it as long as what it used to be. I just don't know. But I would take it back in any capacity because it was such a fun little ride. I loved it.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is actually not too far from where the People Mover is, and that was the Disneyland Skyway. Did you ever get a chance to ride that at all?
We have footage of me doing it, but I was
Yes.
too young to remember.
You were a wee Mimi?
I was a little. But it's in all of my home movies, dang it.
Yeah. Josh said that you can still see the moon, the cat in the moon. Hey, diddle diddle, Josh. You can still see the moon and the sun on Buzz Lightyear from Circle Vision. I did not know that, but figured you would.
I knew that.
You knew that.
I knew.
So the Disneyland Skyway was the gondola ride that went from Tomorrowland to Fantasyland and from Fantasyland back to Tomorrowland, depending on which way you were going. And it opened in June 23rd, 1956. And it not only took you from one place to the other, but it also went through an attraction on the I'm going to call it the Fantasyland Tomorrowland border, which is the Matterhorn. And I definitely remember. I have memories of going on it as well. They're small memories because I was little as well. But it was actually open a lot longer than I had thought it was. It actually closed in '94. I was surprised to see that it had lasted that long, but the reason that they had to take it down is because of metal fatigue and stress cracks in the Matterhorn, because they actually had supports in there, and if they were to refurbish it, they would have actually had to take apart part of the Matterhorn. They did not want to do that, so I guess the easiest way to do it was just to scrap the whole thing, close it all up, and close up the Matterhorn, that is, because the hole's gone now. But I always loved that, because when you went through there, I think, if I remember correctly, you could actually see the snowman as you're passing through.
I know. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I've seen videos. You could see I think you could see the crystal tunnel that used to be there. Not tunnel, but the crystal where the Horde is now, but it used to be crystal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you remember, yeah.
Yeah. The Skyway, the disembarking station, what are it's called? The Fantasyland Skyway station was right behind where the Stromboli cart used to be at Disneyland, where I used to work.
Where
and I used
Casey
to kind of
Jr.'s train
scooch
is
around back there and look at the little steps that went back up to where that used to be. I was sad when it was gone, because it was it was a cute little building.
They held it there for the longest time, and
they really did.
I remember coming back year after year going like, when are they going to get rid of that? Are they going to make it something different? Are they bringing it back? What's going on? Veronica says she loved the Skyway, and she was 3 when it closed. Her family tried to convince me that I imagined it because I had a fit when it was gone.
Oh.
It was a great little ride. I mean, I mean, one of the cool things about Disneyland is that it doesn't have to always be a thrill attraction. It's just something that is just fun to be on, fun to watch everything that's going on around you. Yeah. And the other attractions, you can be like, ooh, I didn't see that there. Let's go on that next. And then she also says it also wasn't ADA compliant according to a website. That may be true.
Oh, yeah, that was also a fact of the People Mover. The reason why they had changed the loading for the rocket rods, the loading was in a different location, if I'm not mistaken, a slightly different location or something. Either way, the way that was, it wasn't ADA compliant for the People Mover either, which is why bringing it back in its original capacity is not a thing, because you would have to rework the way that's formatted.
I can't remember if they had an elevator at the time. I think they did have an elevator at the time that went up it. But it was multi-purpose, because the rockets used to be up on top of where the People Mover is. They used to be like an actual, like the current what are they called?
They're now the
Astro Orbiter. The Astro Orbiter.
And they were
Right. It used to be on top of that building, and you used to be able to take an elevator to get all the way to the top of that thing and spin around, which I thought was really awesome because it made it so much higher, and I wish they would put it back up there. But I'm sure structurally it's probably not a good idea anymore. But yeah, that might have been it. Or maybe even the ADA compliant thing might have had something to do with where it was in Fantasyland too, because I remember a lot of steps. over at that where that landing was at. So that could have something to do with it as well. So on the Skyway, I didn't really know this, but they also had one at the Magic Kingdom. But then again, I was not, I didn't really ever go to the Magic Kingdom when I was a kid. From 1971, which is their opening day, to 1999, and then they also had one at Tokyo Disneyland from 1983 to 1998. But they are no longer at either one of those parks either. So. It is unfortunately a ride that's gone the way of the dodo, but there is still a Skyway at the Magic Kingdom. It's just it's more of a gondola thing, like a big gondola thing where it takes you from the resorts to the parks. It's like outside of the park. It's not inside any of the parks. And I was able to go on that with Kevin and Amanda the last time that I was out in Florida. We went from one resort to another, and it was really nice. It was pretty cool. It's hot because there's no air conditioning inside the cabins, but it's just a means of travel. Just a means of travel. Next on my list, the Carousel of Progress / America Sings.
It's gonna make me sad.
I know, right? I am taking you all down memory lane because these are all the great ones. It is
obviously
now called...
the Carousel of Progress does live on.
It does. The Carousel of Progress actually went from Disneyland over to the Magic Kingdom. So, the Carousel of Progress opened up on July 2nd, 1967. I'm reading my dates weird here. And it was a round theater, which the audience sat in their chairs in a circle-style theater, and the stage was in the middle, and the audience revolves around the stage. And every time that you go into a new area, there's like a fun scene that happens showing the progress of man and technology and inventions and things like that, electricity, the radio. And it was a lot of fun, and it had some music by the Sherman Brothers in it and everything. And we went on it when we were in Florida. We went on it,
yes. Lovely.
And I even went on it when I did the Magic Kingdom the last time with Lisa. So, I mean, it's a fun little show to watch, and it's definitely a flashback because it's one of the oldest attractions, I think, from Disney history, because it was actually one of the ones that debuted at the 1964 World's Fair. Correct. Yeah, Kevin said we survived it with you.
Yes.
He's talking about the gondola ride. Yeah, it was nighttime, but it was still pretty warm. And let's see, Veronica says, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience better be on the list. Best ride ever.
That one's a little bit of history, and we'll probably get through the pieces of it.
Yeah, I don't have that on my list, but it doesn't mean we won't talk about it. I just want to kind of get through as many of these as possible, then if we can have time to discuss that after the fact, because that theater has seen a lot of action between Captain EO.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, between Captain EO, which I don't know why I didn't think about that one, because that was definitely in my childhood, to Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. It was such an amazing attraction. But I can tell you that our guest for next week, Margot Apostolos, who is a person who played an Ewok in Return of the Jedi. I know we have another Ewok coming on, and also a former Disneyland cast member, used to actually work the attraction for Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, and she has a very funny story to tell us. So if you guys haven't heard it, those are watching, you may have, I don't know, but you want to hear it, you got to tune in next week, because she told me, and it took me a couple of minutes to stop laughing. It was pretty funny. So anyway, the Carousel of Progress was removed from Disneyland on September 9th, 1973, and then reopened at the Magic Kingdom on January 15th, 1975. So it took them a couple of years, but they eventually got it over from one coast to the other, and it still is there to this day, as we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Carousel of Progress was replaced by America Sings, which opened up in June 29th, 1974. I was 3 years old at the time, but I remember it vividly, and it was such a great show. And I thought it's interesting. I'm going to say a fun fact here, Josh, and I'm not sure if you actually heard this one or not, but the show for America Sings rotated counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise.
Right, but the Carousel of Progress rotated clockwise. Yeah, I don't know why they changed it that way, but I thought it was interesting to actually see that fact in there.
Oh yeah.
So it was a neat little tidbit. And only the lower level was used for America Sings because apparently during the Carousel of Progress they had 2 levels, where I guess they could do the show in 2 different places, so that way they could have more capacity for the crowds, which is I always used to wonder every time that I went there, like, why do we only ever load on the bottom floor? What's up on the top floor? But that was when I was younger and I didn't really know any better, and I never went to a library to research it. Yes, a library, because they did not have internet back then. They just had dinosaurs that you had to ride, and anyway. So only the lower level was used. The upper level eventually became the super speed tunnel in 1977, which later became the Tron game grid. And that was a part of the People Mover that went through that little tunnel there and kind of created like an extra sensory experience for being on the People Mover. Even though you were only moving at 7 miles an hour, it made you feel like you were moving faster. So that was kind of a fun little fact I like too. Let's see. The MC for the America Sings show was an American bald eagle named Sam. And no, not the one that we're all thinking. It's not the Muppet.
Nope.
It seems like every eagle that is made, to be animated is called Sam. There was even a Sam the Eagle. There was even a Sam the Eagle for the Olympics back in the 80s as well. But that's not even the reason why they named him Sam. That was a completely separate artist, but from what I understand, a Disney artist that actually created that particular character. All the fun things you can learn on the internet, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And it was voiced by Burl Ives. Yeah. And I had to refresh my memory. I'm like, okay, why does that name sound familiar? But he is a singer, actor, voice actor, and narrator. And what I remember him from was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yep.
Me too. He played the narrator for that movie. And apparently he also narrated the Ewok Adventure TV movie back in the 80s.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
Yes.
Hi, Mom, from Wendy.
Hi, Wendy. I was just going to bring up my mother.
Hello.
Because as a youth, learning about attractions that previously existed and do not exist today. There were 2 that I heard about, one of which we have not gotten to yet. But the first one that I heard about from my mother was, of course, America Sings.
Yes, and she actually just made another comment. America Sings animatronics ended up in Splash Mountain. That is 100% accurate.
Other place.
One other place?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Would you like to know?
Think about this one. Let me think about it.
Josh knows.
I'm sure he does. He didn't say it in there, did he? No, I don't see any comments.
But I know. Star Tours! Yes!
Oh, that's right.
Look at those.
Absolutely. Kevin said it.
You go through there.
Kevin said it's Star Tours.
Look at the little droid who's checking luggage, who's got his eyes kind of like this, and his feet are webbed.
Yep, his feet are webbed, and he even has like a little springy tail.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. That is like the stripped down robotic version of the animatronic. I totally forgot about that.
Kind of terrifying to think about, but it's okay. Fine.
You're looking at the guts of an animatronic eagle. Let's finish this one off here. Okay, so America Sings. Apparently, I didn't put the date that it closed, but it did eventually close and became Innoventions, I think is what it eventually became called.
Yes, it did. That's my childhood.
And now it's Star Wars Launch Bay, which has a lot of Star Wars memorabilia from all the movies. And occasional meet and greets with some of the Star Wars characters. I believe you can meet Chewbacca there and 1 or 2 other characters. I'm not sure if they still do that. It closed
in 1988, by the way.
88.
I looked it up.
Year before I graduated high school. All right. Next ride, the motorboat cruise. Now, I don't know if you ever remember that one or not, or do you have any memories of that one?
Specifically, but I know that the one of its successors. No, wait, I'm thinking of the Phantom Boats. Motorboat Cruise, I know all about, though, too.
Yeah. Okay. Opened June of 1957. In 1991, it became the Motorboat Cruise to Gummy Glen. Did you ever hear about this? Okay.
Yes. And you can still go to the loading dock.
Yes, you can.
Yes,
you can. Actually, it's okay. That's the reason why we do this, is because we get excited and feel good about ourselves.
And as a secondary, my mother is getting excited. That location where the old motorboat cruise dock still stands.
Mhm.
If it's still there, I guess. I
It
think it is.
is.
I haven't been in a while, so I don't
Absolutely
know
still
if
there.
they're doing anything there. But for a long time, and probably still today, it's a great place to go sit and chill for a minute.
Yeah.
It's quiet. My mother did a whole work there. She used to go to work. She'd do working remote from there.
Yep, she says it right there. I used to work from the old dock, and she
Yeah.
also said you can go there also to feed the ducks because that's where
Yes.
that's where
They
a lot of
love
the
to
ducks
hang
hang
out
out.
there. Yeah.
Yep, because people throw them popcorn and bread and stuff. Because like you said, it's a great place just to go and sit. There's lots of tables, and it's almost always empty.
Yeah.
At least every time that I've been, it's almost always empty. And if it's not empty, people are getting up all the time and leaving and stuff like that because they got to get on with their days.
But if you were a fan of the gummy bears in the late 80s, you had a chance in the early 90s, I believe.
Never watched it.
You had a chance to go on the motorboat cruise to Gummy Glen. It was really just the motorboat cruise with some plywood cutouts of the Gummy Bears characters, but you know what? I'm sure it was a good time. Yes,
Kevin
it's
says
seating for
it's seating
Edelweiss
for
snacks.
Edelweiss snacks. Now, is it Edelweiss or Edelweiss?
I think it's Edelweiss.
It's because it's German, right? It's the W sounds like a V.
I don't speak German.
Neither do
I
I.
never took German.
Okay.
It was an
We're just
option
gonna
I
say
did
it's
not take.
Edelweiss.
That's fine.
I know Edelweiss is a German word, and I know it was used in a song in The Sound of Music.
The
I
Sound
think
of
that's
Music.
about the extent of
V.
my knowledge.
It is a V.
Yes, it is a V. Yep, and even Kevin says Vice. He says that, and all I think about is Miami Vice.
Because we're still in Tomorrowland, and I know we've got at least one Frontierland attraction to talk about. At least we
no.
should. If we don't, we don't.
We don't. No, because we're running out of time already. I started
Well,
going
we
through
better
my.
save 2 minutes for me to talk about it.
Okay,
Let's
so
go.
let's finish up on the motorboat cruise. It closed on January 11th, 1993, in part due to negative reactions to the new theme. Unfortunately, even though you liked it a lot, it was just cardboard cutouts, from what I understand. There was like no animatronics. It was just they stuck a character here and there, and that was it. So, and they also apparently needed to pull the budget from that ride and use it to put into Toontown. That was the information that I found out anyway. And then the other one, I'll just touch on this one lightly because I already talked about it a little bit, was the Adventures Through Inner Space, or just Adventure Through Inner Space. Now, it opened on August 5th, 1967, and replaced the Monsanto Hall of Chemistry. I had to look this one up because I've heard the word Monsanto used, because this was another one that was kind of debuted at the 1964 New York World's Fair. Monsanto was a agrochemical, and agricultural biotechnology corporation. That's a lot of syllables.
Yeah.
Founded in 1901 and they're best known for the Roundup stuff that you use to kill weeds with.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
I didn't even know that.
Controversial things that we're not going to talk about.
I'm sure. I found the one that is still around today and is actually useful in most people's homes. And it was another successful attraction that debuted at the 1964 World's Fair. And it was the first ride to actually present the Omnimover vehicles, or the chairs, or buggies, if you will, that eventually migrated over to be the ride vehicles for the Haunted Mansion. Absolutely, the Doom buggies. Your host, the narration was done by Paul Frees, who was also the narrator for the Haunted Mansion. He was your ghost host. So if you hear that voice, is your ghost host.
But was your something else. If you get a chance to look up, there are several great videos on it. Yester-World on YouTube did a great video.
You're talking about his behind the scenes?
Adventures Through Inner Space. If you want to have an idea of what the attraction was like, there are recreations, I believe, online.
Yes.
Like, just go check it out. It was a marvel for its time.
Because
and I am eternally sad that I could not experience it.
Was incredible because you got to actually see the chairs going through this huge microscope, and then in the middle part of the microscope was all these tiny little chairs, and it literally made it seem like people are getting shrunk. It was so cool. And as a kid, you're looking at it going like, oh my God, that's going to happen to me. Right. It was phenomenal. But anyway, it took you through the microscope, and Paul Frees narrated, and you actually got to go through the molecules of a snowflake and discover what it was like to be shrunken down to that size. So it closed in 1985, of course, eventually to be replaced by Star Tours.
Yes.
And that is still there today. All right, so
I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
make
give
a
you the
brief
floor.
addendum to say, I suggest that we do a second episode of this at some point because there's too much to talk about.
There is.
We're not even brushing on California Adventure. My mother,
Oh, yeah, no.
Lola
no.
mentions there was a whole Monsanto house, the Monsanto House of the
Yes.
Future. Really interesting.
I called
I'm
it the thing that I saw was a Monsanto Hall of Chemistry. Is that one and the same, you think?
different. The Monsanto
Different.
House of the Future stood where Tinkerbell's meet and greet area kind of is now. And it was a big old
Right.
blocky
Okay.
house thing made of plastic. Everything was plastic. They were like, look at plastic. Plastic's
Yep.
great. We love plastic. This is the 1960s. So yeah, that was a thing.
It's
But
the
the
material of the
attraction that
future.
I'm most excited to talk about that we haven't brushed on at all, not a whole lot of attractions have closed elsewhere in the park. For the most part, everything in Fantasyland has mostly stayed the same, with the exception of like the addition of Pinocchio. I mean, obviously they've had refurbs, but these attractions have been there for a long time. But in
Correct.
Frontierland, prior to the Big Thunder Mountain
Frontierland.
Railroad,
Yeah.
you had the mine train through Nature's Wonderland, which I
Yes.
never got to experience, and I am
Me neither.
still so bummed that I never got to experience it, because holy mackerel, that is so cool. I just
I
think
think you
that
can do stuff like that though over at Knott's Berry Farm. So if you travel like about a half an hour away.
No, it's different. It's different. Because here's the thing. The way that Disneyland was set up back in the day for Frontierland is that it was not a one-stop shop with an attraction. You had your packed meals going through, and you had your wagon ride, and you had and it felt like a real, from what I've read, real space. And then you had the Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland with wonderful Mark Davis inspired animatronics later on that were humorous, as Mark Davis does. Mark Davis is the reason why the Jungle Cruise is funny, let's be honest. I could go on forever about the Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland. I'm not gonna, but that's I'm so sad that I am never gonna experience that.
We could go on talking about other things that happened at the Golden Horseshoe.
We could probably do a whole episode talking about shows that no longer exist. There was a very brief period, and this is a thing that they did and I learned this, I Googled this, I researched this, because I remembered this as a child. I have video footage of it being a thing and had no idea where it was in the park, because I couldn't find record of it. But I did. It was a thing at the El Capitan Theater when Toy Story opened. They had like a thing, and like Andy's bed and meet and greets with the characters and stuff. They moved it into Tomorrowland for a brief time in the 90s, in 95, I assume. And it was a thing. They were playing country music, and you could meet Woody, and Andy's bed was there and there were like light brights or video games or something. I was very young, but we have video footage of it. It was real. But stuff like that, there are so many things that nobody remembers.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually took a trip to
remember.
Disneyland, I would say within the last few years, where I did actually see Woody up on the balcony of the Golden Horseshoe.
Oh,
and he was
yeah,
waving
that
to
was a
everybody
thing
and
for a
stuff
while,
like that.
too,
Yeah.
Well, they used to do a lot of, oh God, don't get me started on the history of different entertainment things that have happened throughout the years. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Farley in Frontierland, who is my favorite extinct attraction. He was the fiddling, playing, joke telling cowboy in Frontierland. He was working at Disneyland for 30 years. You can still follow him on Facebook, but he was a joy. And every day he would come walking through the store in Frontierland, and there's that big old statue of a buffalo, and he goes, what do the buffalo say to its kid when they dropped him off at school? Bye, son. And then he plays his fiddle. He's in the Day at Disneyland VHS that they sold in the park in the 90s. He's in it singing Turkey in the Straw. He was amazing, and I'm so sad that he's gone. I'm sorry, I'm talking forever. I am going to make a comment about the theater. Because we are talking about Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. Veronica has just mentioned it.
Yes, I was going to get to that, but you kind of have the floor right now.
Sorry, I'm on roll. Obviously, we had Captain EO, which was regrettably something I never got to experience, even
Oh.
when they brought it back after Michael Jackson passed away. And I really wish that I had experienced that, but I did not get the chance.
I
But
hope
I
they
mean,
bring it
I've
back
seen
again,
it.
to be honest with you.
I think they should. I mean, what's stopping them, honestly?
Yeah, I know. And so I'm going to read Veronica's comment for those who are just listening. The dog sneezing on you and Honey, I Shrunk the Audience just made me so happy. And that was
Honey,
the
I
part
Shrunk the Audience was so much fun.
that was the part that I always regretted, because it's like, I mean, I expected it, but then I was never a fan of getting wet inside of a dry area. It's just a stupid quirk of mine, and I can't help it.
That's fair.
But
That's fair.
But yeah, that was there, and then like you said, Captain EO, and and speaking of Captain EO, we have to get to our next segment in just a moment. I'm going to give one other shout out to an attraction from Frontierland, or at least a show, to Billy Hill and the Hillbillies. That was my absolute favorite show.
I believe Farley was a part of that.
I didn't know their names, unfortunately, but from what I do understand, and I think maybe Kevin or Amanda had told me this, or maybe even Josh, I'm not sure. Apparently, you can still catch them as a different group now over at Knott's Berry Farm.
Oh, yes, that's a thing. I believe,
yes.
Or at least it was a thing. I don't know if it's still a thing, but I believe that was a thing.
And I'm going to go ahead and finish up on the final comment that Kevin made. Says, Knott's has a mine train, but it's missing the Nature's Wonderland section.
That's true. That is true.
And it's a fairly slow ride, too. There's no, like, seat belts or lap bars or anything like that. It's just, you just, like a little mine train car. It's been there for as long as I can remember. And I've been going to Knott's Berry Farm since I was
a good ride. It's a good, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That and the log flume are the only things I remember from that.
Yes, the log flume's good, too. And there's a lot of animatronics in that. There's a lot of animatronics in that one, too. All right, we got to start closing things out here, because we're getting at the end of the hour.
We're gonna have to do a part 2 at some point, because there's so much more to talk about. And we haven't talked about California Adventure, which has had, I would argue, even more attraction changes than Disneyland.
Changes, yes, I would agree. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I wanted to kind of go over a few things for future shows, because I have got a hell of a list. For those who didn't see the social media that I posted a couple weeks ago, I was actually at Stockton Con with our good friend Andrew Nelson, and I was able to meet a couple of new people and got some people to agree to be on the show for future episodes. So we've got tons of special guests coming, you guys, and I'm going to name as many of them as I can here. Well, first of all, the scheduled ones that we have coming up, Margot Apostolos, I talked about her briefly earlier, the Ewok, and also former cast member. She will be on next week's episode on July 30th. And then on August 13th, speaking of Captain EO, because she has a lot to do with that one, Miss Terry Hardin is going to be on the show. Now that you guys cannot miss. She is one of the greatest storytellers when it comes to her career I've ever heard anybody tell me. She can go for hours and hours and hours. It's going to be hard to get a word in, I think, but I still can't wait, because she's so energetic and excited. And if you guys want to know more about her, she does have a Facebook channel where she talks about all the stuff that she's done before and the shows. She's worked for Henson, for Disney as an Imagineer. She used to be a stunt double. She's had so many things that she's done, and she's even helped us a little bit in Adventurous Ideas, which we might be able to squeeze out of her and have a quick discussion about, but I don't know how much I can say or not at the time that it happens. So those are the scheduled special guests that we have coming up. Unscheduled but confirmed they are okay being on the show is there's a gentleman by the name of Chris from a YouTube channel called LMG Vids. He is nice enough to let me include some of his videos in my opening video sequence. And he does tons of other ride videos from all the Disney parks around the world. And I don't mean just like this, I mean everywhere. He's done them from Tokyo, from Shanghai, from Paris, everywhere. I mean, he's done a lot of them. I don't know if he works on his own or if he has affiliates that live in those areas, because it seems like he's always posting stuff all the time. Refurbishments happen, boom, there's a new video up. Gotta have him on the show. Jim Megan, the writer from the Goofy movie. I met him quite a few years back at a MouseCon, friends with him on Facebook. He said he'd be interested. Chad Fry, a former Disney artist, as well as Bill Morrison, who is also a Disney artist, the gentleman who actually did the poster art for The Little Mermaid. And you guys can work out the story of that in your head, because we will be talking about it. Amy O'Neill from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So speaking of Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids star is going to be there. She played the teenage daughter, Amy. Amy Allen, who was a Jedi in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And also Kyle, I'm going to butcher his name. Pasek or Pachek? Pasek? P-A-C-E-K. I'm just going to spell it out. He was in Star Wars The Mandalorian and was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. He had a character on that as well. And I've got other people that I want to line up because I'm going to be going to a show called GalaxyCon in August. There are tons and tons of actors and actresses there that are going to be taking the stage and signing autographs. Tate Donovan and Susan Egan from Hercules. Jodie Benson and Christopher Daniel Barnes from The Little Mermaid. Chris Sarandon and Ken Page from The Nightmare Before Christmas. That's Jack and Oogie Boogie themselves. I have no idea if they are going to agree, but I'm going to walk up and I'm going to be a gentleman and I'm going to speak just total polite business to them and say, how would you guys like to be on my little show? And I'm hoping that somebody, at least one, because those are some wonderful names. I don't want to say just big names, but they are just wonderful names that of people who have entertained us in the Disney universe. So those are the ones that I'm hoping to get on board at some point next month when I go to that show. And hopefully more to come because there's just so many shows coming up. I just can't keep track. Just can't keep it. And that's all I got. Any final words before we close out?
Oh man, there's too much excitement for upcoming episodes. It's gonna be great.
Veronica says it's pronounced Pasek. So okay, thank you for that help. See, Kevin says, sounds like an exciting lineup. Yeah, absolutely. And I just,
very exciting.
I love talking about these things without special guests, but then I also love talking to special guests because they're chances to interview these people that I've never really met before, but I know the stuff they've done. And it's just so wonderful to hear all these amazing stories of these. I've heard it explained before. These ordinary people put in extraordinary circumstances. So,
yes, indeed.
And here we are, our ordinary selves being put into extraordinary circumstances, getting to talk to these people and bring them all to you. So
absolutely.
Hope you all have enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you all who were in the audience for engaging and setting our facts straight and providing extra stories to add to the show, because that is what it's all about. It's about bringing the magic back, and we all appreciate your feedback and your comments. If you guys want to know more about Main Gate Magic, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. It's all under Main Gate Magic. It's the only one you'll find in there with our bright big blue logo. Hope to see you guys next week.
Etsy shop.
Check out the Etsy shop. I did get my first sale after last week's episode. It's only one, and then I bought one for myself that I'm hoping to show off on the next show if I can. But yeah, the Etsy store is out there as well, Main Gate Magic. 10 different types of t-shirts, whimsical ideas, original designs. Please check it out and purchase if you guys like it. If not, let me know. Put it in the comments and let us know for the next episode, or even anywhere on our social media pages. So, July 30th. Hope to see you guys then. 6 p.m. Same time, same channel. See you then. Bye-bye.
Farewell.